In this chapter, we're going to learn how to take a custom attribute set that we've either created through script or through the custom attributes built-in tool, read the attribute definition and be able to redefine it into whatever we like. You need to be a little careful with this because you can completely change what a definition is. If you remove or change any of the names of the parameters themselves, this can actually disconnect them from any wiring or expressions that have been used on them. This first step is actually getting the original custom attribute definition. For that, I'm going to actually just doctor this existing script. First off, I'm going to remove the CA equals from the original attribute definition, and I'm going to put comment dashes in front of the cust_attributes.add line. These basically stop this line from actually functioning now. I'm going to be adding two new lines to the script so that we can read the existing attribute definition and then update it with some new parameters. I'm going to use CA as our variable name for the definition again, but this time I'm going to get the definition from the existing definition. cust_attributes dot get def will return to me the a definition. The next parameter we have to pass this command is where we're looking for the definition. We will be looking on the first modifier on the selected object, and we also have to know what the original attribute name is in this case, and we know that it was foot controls. You can get that information a number of ways. One is using another command in MaxScript, or you can simply see that the definition shows up in track view as foot controls. We can then use that as the name. So this returns back the subanim foot controls. cust_attributes.getDef will go and get those. I'm going to evaluate that line by either just highlighting it, pushing Shift Enter. CA is now equal to this custom attribute definition. The next line I need to add here is right below the attributes foot controls line, redefine :CA. So what it's saying is I'm going to redefine this custom attribute definition with this new definition I have here. If I evaluate this whole script, you can see the attribute definition flick off for a second and come back. That's because it's being redefined. At this point we can start making changes to our script. Let's change the name of the toe spinner to toe wiggle. I'll evaluate all again, and you'll notice now that the name is now toe wiggle. We can do other things with our custom attributes that we couldn't do with the built-in attribute tool. Right now we could have easily done this with a built-in tool. We can make a nicer UI, one that works a little better for the animator. If we had many spinners, we can actually break them down into groups, putting little group boxes around each set of spinners. That can be done by simply typing group, a name for the group, we'll call it foot controls, and then placing inside a set of brackets for that group the spinners that we want to have in there. I'm going to redefine this definition now with a Control-E. You'll now see that the first two spinners are sitting inside a nice little group box. We can do the same again with the next one. Evaluate it. And now our leg spinner is inside a leg group box. This can really clean up the interface and make it easier for the animators to work with. The next thing we might want to do is actually build in our own key or reset button for all the spinners. I'll do this as a simple reset button. After the group, the last group, I'm going to create a new one. You don't need to, but again, I want to keep it nicely arranged. I'm going to call it keying. And I want to start a new UI item in here. This new UI item is going to be simply a button, which is simply defined as button. And I'm going to call it reset all. And the viewer will see reset all in the interface as well. Again, I can evaluate and see that I now have a reset all button. To make this button do anything useful, because right now it doesn't achieve anything for us, I'm going to write in the next section of code. This next section of code is the event handler for the button itself. Basically, it's the event that says when this button is pressed, this is what I'll do. The event handler is simply structured as on reset all, so the button that I want to initiate this event handler with, pressed do. So anything I'd like to do when that button is pressed, I can put inside here. What I'd like to have are these parameters returned to a value of 0. And it should be as easy as this, just simply taking each parameter now and adding them. Reevaluate it all, and on reset all you can see now that all the spinners reset themselves to 0. If you'd like to see the actual code at any given time that is actually being used in here, we can simply take the definition, and in this case this is now the definition that we're using here, and we could type that ca.source, and that will print the source information straight out to the listener. And in this case it looks exactly the same as what we've written. So you can see that all this information has been stored right in the base of this modifier and is read in and builds the interface and executes it as we've asked it to. Just about everything that can be done in any kind of floating UI in 3D Studio Max can be placed into a modifier, into a material, or other areas in Max. You can actually even add custom attributes into a controller itself.